I'm struggling here. Hello! So yesterday I did not vlog anything because I did not feel like it. But to make it up to you guys, I think I might do a Q&A today from Instagram. So I will answer it later this week. And now Andrea and I are going to the university because we have a course, the laboratory animal course. I will tell you more details about it when we're done, because now
kinda late we are.
kinda late, but not very late, because we just have to figure out in which class we have to go to.
Orientation skills.
We'll be there on time. We just came back from the course. It was long and philosophical. A lot of philosophy included. In the ethics, as biologists, the ethics courses are mandatory for bachelor students, for master students, and for PhD students, or for any other kind of students. So whenever you decide to do anything research related, you have to take these courses. And it's mainly about the scientific research, including animals and living beings or living creatures. It seems simple, but it's not. This is gonna go for a whole month, I guess. There is a theoretical part and there's a practical part. Now I'm back to the lab and I have so many things to do and I don't know what to start with.
3 hours later.
Welcome to the cold room. I received some reagents that I need for my experiments and I'm here to check if I received everything.
Soon after.
Good morning! It's Thursday. It's Thursday, right? Yeah, it's Thursday. And I did not vlog anything yesterday. I don't know how the day went. Today we have a course. We are going now. It's almost 8:30, so we have to go.
Might also want to protect the environment, own barrier in that case. So this means that they are free of specific pathogens.
We are back! It was nice and smooth, I guess, but cold. I'm gonna start answering the questions that I got on Instagram today, but later today. And I got a comment from someone on my last video asking whether to do a PhD or no. Just to remind you, I talked about this on the video from week 4. So go check that out, and if there are more questions on the way, let me know in the comments here so that I can answer them on the next vlog. Here we go. For the first question, is a PhD the same as an internship? And do you have someone to guide you, or do you do everything on your own? Okay, so there's a big difference between doing a PhD and doing an internship. First off, for an internship, you're only there for a couple of weeks, but for the PhD, you stay there between 3 and 5 years, depending on your field and depending on your subject, and I think depending on the country too. Second, when you do an internship, you work on someone else's project. So there's a project, and some people are working on it and they bring a master's student or a bachelor student to work on a small part of that project just to help advance the research a bit. But for the PhD, it's your project. You're the one responsible for that project and for how it goes and advances. Third thing, because during an internship you don't stay there for a long time, you're not supposed to make life-changing discoveries or extraordinary findings or anything, because to be realistic, you can't do a lot of things in 6 or 7 months because science is kind of slow. But when you're a PhD student, you are supposed to bring something new to the field. You're supposed to find something. Number 4, the requirements between an internship and doing a PhD change radically, because during a PhD, you're supposed, for example, to teach, to apply for grants, to write papers, to do all these things that an intern doesn't necessarily have to do them. Number 5, you will always have someone to guide you, but it depends on what you're doing. For example, as a master or a bachelor student, you don't know most of the things because it probably is your first experience or your one of the first experiences that you do. So you will always find people to ask and people to help around. As a PhD student, you also have sort of guidance, but it's not the same as a master student. For example, as a master student, they help you, they tell you what you have to do, what you have to not to do. But as a PhD student, you are guided by your PI, but at a certain level, because as a PhD student, you are the one who is supposed to look for the information and decide what experiments to do and plan for everything. Not just like in internships when you have everything ready and you just go do it, because the goal of the internship is to gain experience, to learn how to do stuff. But the goal of a PhD is very different. It prepares you to the research field. I think I'm going to finish this tomorrow. What the? Hello! It's the last day of this week. I'm gonna finish answering most of the questions that I got on Instagram. So I have Andrea with me here.
Hi.
Because I thought this could help you more to have more perspectives or more points of view on the questions that you asked. How did you get the opportunity to leave Tunisia? I'm gonna rephrase the question, okay? So I'm gonna say, how did you get the opportunity to get the PhD? Because leaving Tunisia is a different story. It depends on your motive, it depends on what you want to do, it depends on, the country doesn't matter if you are in Tunisia or in a different country, as long as you are doing something that you love or something that would make you grow as a person. So, to get to the question, how did you get the opportunity to get a PhD? There is no just one way to do things. From my side of experience, I'm gonna talk about how I did it, and then Andrea will talk about her experience. That's just an example to say that there are more ways or more façons to doing stuff. It depends on so many things, basically, so you can't just say you do this and you're good. For me, I met these people in this lab during a seminar, during my internship, for the master internship. I was so interested in the project that they are working on. I contacted them. They seemed kind of interested in my profile. We kept in touch during a whole year, and yeah, it went up from there. They said, oh, we have a project for next year. Do you want to apply for that? Yeah. That's my experience and how it went. Andrea.
Honestly, my journey started at the beginning of this year when I started applying to so many positions, and I got a lot of no's or just being ignored, which is part of it. I mean, a big part of it. At some point when I was so ready to give up, I was like, okay, this is my last application, I don't care anymore, I'm gonna try next year. I got a response back.
I think being rejected is a part of the process. It's fine. Before this, I also applied through different websites, every possible website or platform that I could apply through. I think I spent 2 years trying to apply for something, and I was at the same time looking for different ways and trying not to repeat myself, because each time I do something, I repeat it and I'm like, okay, so if I keep repeating the same thing, I'm gonna get the same
response because
outcome from it. So I need to change a little bit the way that I do things, and maybe it could work. It could just fail dramatically because it did so many times, but at least I know that that way is okay and that way is not gonna be helpful for me, but it could be helpful for some other people in some other positions, in some other fields. It could work.
The bottom line is you have to try and not apply just for a couple. Try and do your research. If you know you want to go, for example, I wanted to go to Sweden. So first things first, I looked at the Swedish institutes and faculties and what they had, if they had PhD openings, and I applied for that and got rejected. And then I broadened my perspective. I tried Germany, I tried Belgium.
Yeah.
And Belgium worked.
That's a key thing to do. You need to know what you want. You don't go apply randomly for stuff that you don't know or you're not interested in, because that doesn't make any sense. What field do I want to study? what part of that field I want to focus on and maybe what country I want to go to. You can start with one of those.
Yes.
For example, you can start with what country I want to go to and see in that country if they have what you're interested in.
Yes.
Or you can start the other way around.
Yes.
Look for what you want and search in what countries they have what I want.
If you look for everything and apply for everything,
Yeah,
that doesn't count.
The bottom line is there's a different path for each person, and it depends on what you want and where you want to be. That changes everything that you're looking for. Another question that I always get is, what is the process of getting into a PhD? I think it depends on the field too. The first thing is that you send your CV, you send your motivation letter, focus on writing good motivation letters. If you apply for 100 positions, you have to write specific letter to the specific person. Put all your time and energy in that, change it every time. If it doesn't work, add more to it. Make it as perfect as it should, so that you can catch the attention of the...
Not really perfect, but try to convince the person that you're supposed to give the letter to convince them that you're a good person for that position, that you know some stuff,
that they need you.
That they need you, exactly. Not that, oh, I'm perfect and I want to come to work for you because that would be great for me. You have to convince them that it's great for them too to have you.
Yep.
It's good both ways. It's a win-win.
Show that you know them and that you did your research before you
exactly. That was my second point. Make sure that you know what the PhD is about and the
lab or the team.
Exactly. The motivation letter should resemble that.
Yeah.
And that is a good exercise that makes you look actually into what they are looking for.
Yeah.
Because I was in the process of writing several motivation letters and I was like, oh, but this does not work for me when I read carefully what they wanted to. Anyway, if you write 5 of them, if you write 100 of them, the point is to make each one different.
Yes, exactly. And I think that also, the motivation letter changes with the position that you're applying for. So if you're applying for an engineering position or for a technician position or for a PhD, it's not the same thing.
Or for a junior research assistant or a research assistant. It differs for every single one.
So the CV motivation letter, you collect everything that you have, you send it to this person or to this lab or team, and you wait. You're gonna have to wait, and you feel that stress and anxiety for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's a part of the job. The second part is if you go through the first interview, they will ask about the stuff that you put in your CV, the experiences that you had, mostly about you.
Or your thesis, they could ask about that, the techniques that you use, so they actually know that you use those techniques and you know about them.
But then there's another selection, the second one, which is if you pass to the second interview or no. The second interview for me was a task that I had to do, was a paper that I had to read and think of a follow-up experiment, which means an experiment that can come after that paper, that could be born from that paper. At the same time, it's not always the same case. For example, for me, I got that, but Andrea did.
I just got a random Excel with some numbers, then I had to analyze the data, which was okay because I analyzed data before, but it was a challenge.
Bottom line is, the second interview or the second level is to see if you're capable to do what you have to do there.
This is the case for us now. There might be other ways that people do interviews.
The next question is, do becoming a neuroscientist require being good at math and coding? Well, it's beneficial, but it's not required. Why? Because it's going to be useful for your research and for the stuff that you're going to do. For example, you're going to have to calculate some stuff. For example, the concentration, the cells, how many cells do you need to put in a dish? Those random stuff that you have to do require a little bit of knowledge in math. Sometimes you need difficult equations depending on your project, and I think nothing cannot be solved with a program. So programming is not required but beneficial. Plus the data processing requires a little bit of knowledge, but you don't have to know them before. You can learn them in the process, because as PhD is not like you go there knowing everything. Like, you go there to learn. We are here to learn.
So basically, in theory, you don't need math or programming, but it sure does help. But good thing that most people that can do programming are actually more interested in the data analysis thing, so you can basically call them, or maybe if you have friends or you know someone that likes to do that, and maybe you can work together and make a program that can do that.
I really like this point that you said, that you can collaborate with other people. You're not alone anyway. You will find so many people in a lab or in a place that you work in that they know different stuff that you don't know, and it's fine to go and ask, or to ask for help. Just to finish with the last question, how the hell do you manage your time and actually follow with PhD and social media and everything? Technically, I don't manage my time. Not all the time. I'm still working on it. I'm used to doing a lot of things at the same time. I'm used to doing that. Even before I start the PhD, I do associated work, I study, I work, I do a lot of stuff at the same time. But that was never a problem, a managing time problem for me. The key is planning. But it depends on the person, because we work differently. Also, you don't always have to be having a plan.
Yes.
It's fine to just take some days off and roll with it.
I think it's the productivity culture that got rise in the past 2 years, when you always have to be busy and you always have to do something. That's not okay, because you don't have time to rest, like you said.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get a burnout in the end.
But I think the conclusion here is the balance.
Yes.
Balance is the key. You have to find your balance.
Flexibility.
Yes, between your rest and your work time. I think not planning stuff ahead is also not good for your brain, but also always planning things is not good for your brain.
Balance.
So balance is always the key. It depends on the person. That's why I can't tell you do this or do that, because each of us work differently. With that, I think I'm gonna wrap up the vlog for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do all of that stuff. It helps, and I would see you next week. Keep it sciencey. Bye.